You've probably heard of Ford versus Ferrari. It's one of the greatest rivalries in racing history, for sure. But, the movie, it got a few key things wrong. So today, we're going to break down the real story. So, how does something like this even start? Well, let's get right into it, because this whole legendary feud, it wasn't born on a racetrack. Nope. It all started with a handshake that never happened, and an insult that, well, it echoed from Italy all the way to Detroit. So, let's rewind a bit. We're talking the early 1960s. Ford Motor Company, they wanted in on the racing scene. They wanted to attract younger buyers, right? But they had a problem. They didn't have a real sports car. So what's the quickest way to the top? Well, they buy the best. And this is where it gets interesting. On one side, you've got the absolute industrial might of Ford. I mean, this is a company that built cars for the masses. And on the other, you've got the artisanal soul of Ferrari. Every single car was a handcrafted masterpiece, built for one thing, to win. So right from the start, this was a total clash of cultures. So after months and months of talks, Ford puts $10 million on the table. $10 million. Now, just to put that in perspective, that's almost $100 million in today's money. The deal was basically done, all but signed. But at the very last second, Enzo Ferrari, they called him Il Commendatore, he spots this tiny clause in the contract. And it basically says Ford would control the racing budget and, by extension, all the decisions. Now, for Enzo, his race team, that was his entire identity. So what did he do? He walked away. Can you imagine? Henry Ford II was publicly, completely snubbed, and he was furious. His response? Oh, it wasn't just corporate strategy. No. This was personal. This was revenge. He wanted to beat Enzo Ferrari in his own backyard, the legendary 24 Hours of Le Mans. Okay, so Ford had a blank check, right? They had the money, but they needed genius. They needed guys who operated way outside the corporate system, guys who lived and breathed racing. And that's where Carroll Shelby comes in. A Le Mans winner himself, but forced out of the driver's seat by a heart condition. And then you have Ken Miles, a brilliant, hot-tempered British World War II vet who could drive literally anything and fix anything. These were the Mavericks, the guys Ford needed to pull off the impossible. But forging a champion, creating a car that could actually beat Ferrari, well, that wasn't just difficult. In the beginning, it was downright deadly. And to really get the challenge here, you have to understand what Le Mans is all about. It's not just about who's the fastest. It's about survival. You are racing for 24 straight hours. And trust me, anything that can break, it will break. So the first Ford GT40s, they were a total disaster. I mean, they were brutally fast, but the aerodynamics were so unstable, the cars would literally lift off the ground at over 200 miles per hour. They chewed through gearboxes, they chewed through brakes, they didn't even finish the race in 64 or 65. Just think about that for a second. The car was so dangerous that a professional test driver quit because he was absolutely convinced it was going to kill him. That's the machine Ken Miles had to somehow tame. So how did they finally crack it? Well, two big things. First, the engine. They perfected it by running it on this machine that simulated the entire Le Mans race over and over again until it could survive. Second, and this was absolute genius, an engineer named Phil Remington created a system to swap out the entire brake assembly during the pit stop. Nobody else was doing that. All right, so by 1966, after all those years of failure and millions of dollars, the Ford GT40 Mark II was finally ready. The stage was set for the ultimate corporate grudge match. And the pressure coming from the top? It was just unbelievable. Henry Ford II made it crystal clear what was on the line here. Yeah, this wasn't some friendly suggestion. It was a command, handwritten on the back of a business card: you better win. All the money, all the engineering, the corporate pride, the personal vengeance, it all came down to this one race. And here's the thing, Ford didn't just win. They absolutely dominated. They were on track for this historic 1-2-3 finish, but what should have been a moment of pure, unadulterated triumph, well, it became one of racing's biggest controversies. Okay, so here's exactly what went down. Ken Miles is leading by a huge margin. Ford's marketing guys, they want this perfect publicity photo of all three cars crossing the finish line together, so they order him to slow down. Miles, being the team player he was, he does it. He obeys.
But, and here's the technicality, because the other driver, Bruce McLaren, had started the race further back on the grid, the officials ruled he'd actually covered more distance in the same amount of time. And just like that, they gave McLaren the win. Think about that. A corporate decision made purely for a photograph cost Ken Miles the single greatest achievement in endurance racing. He was just robbed of a victory he had so clearly earned on the track. And this is a really key detail that the movie changed. In real life, Carroll Shelby was part of the group that made that call. It was a decision that reportedly haunted him for the rest of his life, knowing he'd played a role in denying his friend that historic win. So Ford got their revenge against Ferrari, and they would go on to win Le Mans for the next 3 years, cementing their place in racing history. But that victory, it came at a truly terrible cost. In what is just an awful, tragic turn of events, the very man who had perfected the GT40 was killed. He was in a crash while test driving its successor. Ken Miles died pushing the boundaries of speed for the exact same program he helped build, just a couple of months after having his greatest victory stolen from him. And what about the financial cost of all this? We're talking at least $25 million, though some estimates run as high as $100 million. Ford spent an absolute fortune, really, just to settle a personal score. And that really is the lingering question behind this whole epic story, isn't it? Ford absolutely won the battle at Le Mans. They achieved their goal. But when you consider the human cost and the financial cost, who truly won the war? It just reminds us that behind every legendary moment of triumph, there's almost always a story of profound sacrifice.